Imagine this, you're scrolling through your Instagram and every other post is all about some new D2C brand.
Soft, stretchy, odorless.
Wow activated naturals.
मामा ये नेचुरल प्रोडक्ट्स बनाते हैं और पेड़ भी लगाते हैं.
Whether it's a skincare product claiming to be 100% toxin free, or a cool t-shirt from Snitch, or maybe eco-friendly home cleaners from Beko. These brands seems to have it all. Sleek marketing, glowing reviews, and a massive social media presence. But behind this glossy surface lies a harsh reality.
The stock that everyone is seeing this morning, biggest drop since their listing from Honasa.
If you quickly look at the operating revenues, that has declined and the company has slipped into losses.
Many of these brands are barely staying afloat. In this video, I want to explain why India's D2C brands, even some of the most popular ones like Mamaearth and Snitch, are struggling. We will take a close look at their profits, funding, and more importantly, their supply chain, which is again a crucial aspect that often makes or even break these brands. Let's start with the basic. Why did D2C brands become so popular in the first place? And it's quite simple. They cut out the middlemen. Instead of selling through big retailers like Big Bazaar or Shopper Stop, these brands decided to go directly to you, to the consumers. And it worked amazingly for a while. Take Boat for example. Their headphones and earphones became the go-to accessories for millennials because they offered premium quality at affordable prices. Similarly, Mamaearth gained to loyal following among young parents with the toxin-free baby care products, growing from 110 crores in revenue in FY20 to 934 crores in FY22. Incredible, right? But here's the catch. Growth doesn't always mean profitability, and that's where the things start to unravel. So first problem is oversaturation. There are just too many brands doing the same thing. For instance, in skincare, you have got Mamaearth, Minimalist, Plum, and even Pilgrim, and also the Ayurveda Co. All of them talk about being natural, sustainable, and cruelty free. But when everyone is saying the same thing, how do you decide which one to buy? The result, the brands are forced to spend more and more and more on advertising to grab your attention.
So the next time you want to call me something, say it loud. Let's go with curly and proud.
Now let's talk about advertising cost and all what we call customer acquisition cost, which is CAC. Did you know that CAC for Indian D2C brand has shot up by 30 to 40% every single year? For platforms like Instagram and Google, which were once affordable, the competition has made it crazy expensive. If a brand spends 700 just to get you or buy a product that only makes them 200 in profit, they are actually losing money. And it's not just advertising, there are another monster that eats into the margin: supply chain inefficiencies. Let me explain how a typical D2C brand supply chain works out. Imagine a brand like Snitch, which sells trendy men's fashions accessories. Here's what their supply chain might look like. First is design in raw materials. Their designer comes up with a fresh style. These designers are sent to manufacturers often located in places like Tirupur or Surat to source fabric and start production. Now here's the thing, if raw material prices go up like cotton price did in 2022, it directly increases production costs. Second, manufacturing. Once the material are ready, the clothes are stitched and assembled at factories. But delays here also, due to labor shortages or machinery breakdown, can throw off the entire timeline. Third, which is storage and warehousing. After production, the clothes are shipped to warehouses. For a brand like Snitch, which deals in fast fashion, they have to refresh their collection frequently. This means holding the excess inventory can become a massive problem. And you know what? Unsold stock is essentially a dead money. Interestingly, fourth part, very interesting, shipping and delivery. Finally, the products are shipped to the customers, but here's the tricky part. In India, logistic costs are 14% of GDP, which is almost double that of a developed nation. So every 1,000 rupee shirt Snitch sells, a significant chunk is lost in a delivery cost. Now imagine this, if even one of this part chain gets disrupted, like a delay at manufacturing stage or maybe increase in warehouse cost, the entire system is going to collapse. And when this happens repeatedly, brands bleed a lot of money. Guys, it's true, brand bleeds a lot of money in supply chain. This is why many D2C brands, despite their impressive growth, struggles with the profits. Let's take an example of Bewakoof, a popular clothing brand. In early days, Bewakoof was seen as a disruptor in casual apparel targeting India's youth. But as the competition increased and operational costs spiraled out of control, the brand started losing money. Despite raising $16 million in funding, it had to lay off over 200 employees earlier this year just to stay afloat. Even bigger brands like Mamaearth aren't even immune. While their revenue grew rapidly, their profit margins remained razor thin. In FY22, Mamaearth profit was just 14 crores on a revenue of 934 crores. Traditional FMCG giants like Hindustan Unilever, which operates with a profit margin of 15 to 20%, the problem isn't just limited to skincare or maybe a fashion. This is happening across the industry in the D2C space. Let me explain another big challenge that D2C brands face, which is competition. Competition from global players, for example, Minimalist, which is often called India's The Ordinary, has built a loyal following for its science-based backed skincare. But as the original brands, The Ordinary enters the Indian market, it becomes incredibly difficult for Minimalist to compete. Why? Because The Ordinary has global economy of scale, a well-oiled supply chain, and a brand recognition that span across the continents. The same thing happens in fashion. A brand like Snitch has to compete with giants like H&M and Zara, who can offer similar product at a comfortable price, but with faster delivery and a global reputation for quality. Local D2C brands, on the other hand, often struggle with operational inefficiencies and high costs, which they can't pass on to the customers in a price-sensitive market like India. Another critical issue, which is again a big issue, which is customer trust. Let's talk about Mamaearth for a moment. When the brand first launched, it was hailed for its natural and a toxin-free product. But when reports emerged that some of its product contained synthetic ingredient, it created a huge backlash. Consumers felt betrayed, and in the D2C world where the relationship with the customer is direct, this kind of trust breach can be catastrophic. Similarly, in apparel space, brands like Bewakoof and Snitch must constant battle perceptions around quality. With fast fashion reputation of being disposable, even a few negative reviews about a poor stitching or fading colors can drive away customers. And once a customer is lost, it's incredibly expensive to win them back. Now let's talk about the funding. Between 2020 and 2022, Indian D2C startup raised over $3 billion from investors. Brands like Sugar Cosmetic, which raised around $50 million, Mamaearth raised $52 million, and even newer players like Ayurveda Co. secured significant funding rounds. But here's the thing, a lot of this money went into aggressive marketing and customer acquisition, not into building a sustainable business model. When funding slowed down in 2023 due to the global economic condition, many of them found themselves in precarious position with high operational costs and thin margins. They were suddenly forced to cut down their own expenses, and this is why we have seen layoffs, restructuring, and even closures in the D2C space over the past years. Let me share a real-world example of how a supply chain issue can cripple a D2C brand. Boat, which became India's top audio accessory brand, had long relied on imports for its product. When pandemic hits, global supply chain was severely disrupted. The cost of shipping containers went up to nearly 300%, and delays stretched from weeks to months. For Boat, this meant not only higher cost but also lost in sales during the peak demand period like festive season. To counter this, Boat started shifting some of its manufacturing in India under the government's Make in India initiative.
हम कोविड से पहले बाहर मैन्युफैक्चर करते थे, मुझे प्लीज करेक्ट मी इफ आई एम रॉन्ग, और उसके बाद 70% मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हम भारत में कर रहे हैं.
जब हमने स्टार्ट की ना, इंडिया में होती ही नहीं थी, कोई नहीं करता था, तो हमने जहाँ गए वो थी चाइना, तो चाइना में सब बन रहा था. फिर आप धीरे धीरे देखो इंडिया में बनने लग गया है. इंडिया में इकोसिस्टम डेवलप हुआ, ये स्टार्टअप इंडिया, मेक इन इंडिया इनिशिएटिव्स, PLI स्कीम्स, PMP स्कीम्स, इतनी स्कीम्स आई हैं जिसकी वजह से तो ईजी हुआ है.
While this helped reduce dependency on imports, it also introduced new challenges like sourcing raw materials locally and managing new suppliers relationship. This kind of pivot is expensive and time consuming, and not all brands have the resources to pull it off. So what's the solution? Can India D2C brand turns things around, or are they doomed to fail? Here's the answer. Survival depends on adaptability. Let me explain you how. First, which comes down is focus on intention, which again very crucial factor, but we're gonna be deep down on it. Not just acquisition. Instead of spending heavily on ads to attract new customers, brand needs to focus on keeping their existing ones. Loyalty program, personalized recommendations, and great customer services can go a long way in ensuring repeat business. Second is diversified sales channel. Relying solely on digital platform is risky. Brand should expand into offline retail, as Mamaearth has done by partnering with stores like Health and Glow and a Big Bazaar. Having a physical presence helps brand reach new customer segments and reduce dependency on online sales. Third, it's streamline operations, which is very tough, but D2C brand needs to invest in supply chain technology to improve efficiency. For example, predictive analytics can help brands manage inventory better, reducing the risk of overstocking or maybe understocking. Fourth is differentiate authentically. Instead of jumping on every trend, brand needs to carve out unique identities. For instance, the Soul Store has done well by focusing on pop culture merchandise, appealing to a very specific audience. So why Indian D2C brands struggling? The answer lies in a mix of oversaturation, rising costs, and operational inefficiencies, and the challenge of maintaining consumer trust. But that doesn't mean all hope is lost. The brand that can adapt, innovate, and focus on sustainable growth will not only survive but thrive. Think about this. 10 years back, most of these brands didn't even exist, and today they have become a household names. Yes, a road ahead is tough and challenging, but with the right strategies, there is no reason why Indian D2C brand can't emerge stronger. If you found this breakdown insightful, hit a like button and subscribe for more in-depth business side, and let me know in the comment section what's your favorite D2C brand and what do you think it will survive in a challenge environment. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much.